All right, let's take you now to this. The remains of some liberation fighters who passed away in Zimbabwe and Zambia will arrive at the Waterkloof Airforce Base in Pretoria. That's where we'll find our reporter Khayelihle Khumalo, who is at the Air Force Base and joins us now. Khayelihle, good afternoon to you. Of course, we understand that government will receive the remains of the 49 former liberation fighters who passed away while in exile. This must be a very emotional time for families, Khaya.
Well, absolutely not. A very poignant moment for these families. They've waited for decades on end, and now it's almost a culmination of that wait. But the preparations here at the Waterkloof Airforce Base tonight, they're really in full swing. You can see, just the procession of the hearse really just waiting here, just making sure that everything really goes accordingly. As you know, that South African authorities, they've been working with their counterparts in Zimbabwe, in Zambia as well. I mean, these are frontline states really who bore the brunt. So you're really just terrorized by the apartheid regime, but they were willing to make sure that the South Africans are housed there and really just making sure that this day is coming as well into being. But what is also quite important is that so many people are involved, and one of the people who's here really to give us the perspective about the significance of today is Dr. Zikalala from the ANC Veterans League, the president of the league. So once again, sir, thank you so much for your time and welcome to SABC.
Thank you very much, Kaya. Good afternoon to viewers.
Lovely. So by all means, a very significant moment for these families. I mean, they've waited for so many years, especially because you look at the context. I mean, the history is so rich. Some of them, they were part of Lutuli detachment, the 1976 camp that fled post the uprising in 1976, but culminating today with the arrival as we're still waiting.
Yeah, well, I think it's a very important day for us, especially for the country as a whole, because today here, especially at Waterkloof Base, 49 mortal remains of those who passed away from liberation movements, that is from the ANC, from the PAC and from Angola, they'll be brought here, and then from there they'll be taken to one military hospital where they'll be housed, and then from there on the 27th the president will receive them officially. I think it's very, very important because majority of the families wanted closure. The president of the ANC in the country announced at the ANC General A statement 3 years ago that will initially start with three prominent people, that is Basil February, Duma Noko and Florence Moposho. But then we had COVID came, and it could not happen. And so after COVID, because we received a lot of applications from families saying that they want their mortal remains of their beloved to also be repatriated, we then took a decision as the African National Congress, let's bring everybody, especially those families who have requested. Families, if the request will make means to make sure that the mortal remains of their beloved ones are being returned. Okay. And so we then decided, let's put a budget together. Let's put a plan together, and from there, let it be implemented. Before the 7th administration took place, that plan was there. When the 7th administration has taken place, they had to execute what was planned initially. And so I'm happy that South Africans have been brought back, and at least families will have closure. That is what is important with us. And secondly is that the next round of repatriation will have to be Angola. It will be the biggest one because a number of our cadres perished there. Some of them perished because we were attacked by UNITA. And so some of them have to be, they have to be brought back into the country. That will be the most difficult process that we'll have to go through.
And Doctor, obviously, I mean, like you just alluded, like you just spoke about the Angola situation, one would never forget those moments when JB Max, when Moses Kotane's remains were brought back from Russia, taken back to South Africa. Really a momentous day. But let's look at perhaps what you say to those countries in terms of making sure that the process is seamless so that we can see really these families seeing really that sort after closure.
Well, I think it's important for us to thank those countries where our fallen heroes were buried. Because, for instance, I went to Harare. In Harare, the graves were neat and they were well looked after. And the NPA, which was investigating, identifying the remains of tombs of fallen heroes, did not have problems. And so it was clean, neat. And when we went there, because I went there with my wife, because her aunt passed on in Harare, and she was buried there. It was such a pleasure to get into that cemetery, to see exactly how it was well organized. And of course, we want to thank them for their hospitality. We want to thank them for especially they were under attack from the racist regime. For instance, in Zambia, the South African regime just came in and bombed some of the camps. And so, but the resilience from local people, they said, will continue fighting and continue supporting liberation movements. We are not free until South Africa is free. And so we are definitely indebted to those countries, because they kept on providing us moral and political support and material support in terms of making sure the resources are available. And so I'm really happy that they've done that, and we really feel indebted to them.
And just before I let you go, Doctor, some of the names really of the people who will be brought back here, the likes of Dumanokwe, somebody who was the ANC Secretary General, but played a very pivotal role in terms of South Africa's liberation, as a teacher, as a lawyer, as someone really championed the cause in terms of the international solidarity, as one of the key elements when you look at the pillars of the ANC for South Africa to be eventually free.
Yeah, well, I think it's very important, for instance, that Comrade Dumanokwe is finally coming home. That was the wish of the wife, that he should be buried in South Africa. And so the family is really excited and very happy that there'll be closure. And so we worked, because we were based in Botswana, we worked with Comrade Dumanokwe, who came from Lusaka to Botswana, to make sure that he gets in touch with lawyers that he worked with in the country, to build a progressive lawyers association inside the country itself. Of course, we were saddened by his passing, but he laid a seed in terms of ensuring that progressive black lawyers organization was established. And so we are happy now that he'll be buried in South Africa. The family will find closure, because it's one of the things that the family wanted. Another family that is here is Mam Florence Moposho. They came to the Veterans League about 4 years ago. They wrote a letter and said, we want the remains of our aunt to be brought back. We are happy they are here as well. We are happy that they'll find closure. What families want is closure, so that they should know very well that their family member who passed on, who was buried in Zambia, now he's lying in South Africa, in the soil of his motherland. And so we're very happy with that.
All right. Thank you so much indeed for your time, Dr. Zikalala. They will cast a net wide to make sure that they go to other countries as well. As you know, that's the likes of Tanzania, Angola, and many other countries as well. That's where other graves are. With that, Unati, back to you in studio.
Khayelihle, thank you so much for that. Of course, we will be monitoring the arrival then of that particular aircraft. I know that it is expected to arrive any time from now. Khayelihle Khumalo there for us out at the Waterkloof Airforce Base. Of course, an important story. And as we've just heard, one that will likely find a closure for many families, of course, that have been waiting for so long for their loved ones.